Let's see this in action. I'll come over to my images folder over here in my tree structure. Now, don't panic about this if you are a brand new user to Dreamweaver. We are going to go through this later. For the moment, just bear with me. I'm going to use this illustration here, so I'll left click and drag it over to my document. Consequently, the image appears here. Now, I might be perfectly satisfied with the image. I might not need to do anything with it. But if I did, then all I need to do is select it, and then you'll see down here in my Properties panel, this Edit button, indicated as PS, referencing Photoshop. Remember how we've just set this up? Any JPEG extension files, which is what this is, will be edited directly here with whatever we've just set up as our primary focus, i.e. Photoshop in our case. Now, if you simply want to change it to a different program, Fireworks for example, well, come back up to Edit, down to Preferences once more, and then making sure you are on this category, File Type, Stroke Editors, then come down to the extension type, JPEG, and there you'll see what we've just seen, Photoshop being our primary editor. Well, if I want to change it to Fireworks, well, by selecting Fireworks, and then clicking on Make Primary, and then okaying this, you'll now see that when I select the exact same image, down here on our Properties panel, we don't see the Photoshop Edit button, we see the Fireworks Edit button. Now, in actual fact, I do want to change this back, so JPEGs are associated with Photoshop, so once more I'll come up to Edit, down to Preferences, then I'll select Photoshop here, and then click on Make Primary. Simple enough. And then when we come back into the main Dreamweaver user interface, selecting the exact same illustration once more, we now see we've reverted back here so that the Photoshop Edit button is now available to us. By the way, I am referencing this Edit button down here. If I double-clicked on the file in the File panel, then that would do the same thing. We would open up that particular file. I'll show you what I mean. If I come across here to this MP3 folder, then inside here, I'm going to see this MP3 audio file. Now, I've already set this up so that Audition CC is the primary editor for not only WAV files but also MP3 files. So even though I've not got this MP3 file as part of my document presently, if I double click on it here, then as you can see, Audition immediately launches. Consequently, when it opens, I can then edit this MP3 file. I could add effects to it or trim its length or whatever. And once I save it, then those changes will be automatically and instantly updated and available to me within Dreamweaver. Right, we've seen the principle of making a primary editor and how here within Dreamweaver's user interface we can select a certain file type and then have that open up within the associated editor so that we can make any changes. We've seen how we set this up, and indeed we saw how this applies when we want to open up an audio file. In this tutorial, we'll continue that exploration, but this time with this illustration, I want to add some text to it by using Photoshop and have it instantly updated and available immediately here within Dreamweaver. So by selecting the image first of all, and then coming down here and clicking on my Edit button, instantly opens up Photoshop. And then whatever I want to do to edit this particular image, and in fact I'll add this website address to this image. Now I just need to move it across a little so I see it all. Now if I left it like this in this state here within Photoshop, then what I've gone and done is I've added some layers to this particular JPEG file. Now a JPEG file doesn't allow layers. What would happen now is if I left it like this and saved it, then I would automatically be creating a Photoshop file, a PSD file. Now I don't want to do that, I want to flatten this as it's known, so that all my layers merge together. So I'll run up to Layer, and then roll down here to Flatten Image. Okay, so we're now in the same state as we were a few moments ago within Dreamweaver, albeit we've added some text. Now all I need to do is come up to File, and run down to Save. I'll close down Photoshop, and back here in Dreamweaver, as I've said, immediately that image takes on that text that we've just added. Okay, so it's that simple then when we associate a particular file type with a particular program. Now, I'm using Adobe programs, you don't have to, but I am. You would need to populate your preferences dialog for that particular category with the relevant program that you want to use. Right, I'll leave it here then. Now we've seen a couple of tutorials looking at how we set a primary editor, and we've seen this in action as well.